Sacramento Kings are the Sacramento Kings again. 5-13. We've been watching them all this week. They just have too many veterans to fail, but we're going to be looking at the big picture of Sacramento and what we can do to get them back on the right path. The New York Knicks can't really seem to win on the road unless they're playing the likes of Dallas and the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to take a look at their early season form, and of course, the Detroit Pistons. They've won 13 straight. Is this real? Are the Pistons ready to be the number one seed in the East? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm Ronan Gaine. Joining me as always, Chris Nambu. Got a lot to talk about this week. Last week we did our randomization of NBA teams and landed on the Sacramento Kings, so we're going to be doing a deep dive there to talk all things Sacramento. We've got the Knicks to talk about. We've got the Pistons. We're doing a little bit of West and a lot of East. But before we get into it all, Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I really thought I'd be very prepared with what we talk about this podcast. I thought that things would be pretty clear. I think they still are. But of course, our Kings give us a couple of interesting wins right before we come on to record. And other than that, I'm good, man. We're right in holiday season. We're right on the cusp of it. Maybe this is the gift that they were looking for. Early Christmas game early for the Kings. Or maybe this is going to be a little bit more frustrating. Let's get into it, man. A team that we've talked about for a while. We've covered them in the past, talking about the hope that they've had as they really started to show signs of early growth. Halliburton, and then that disappeared, and then they had a resurgence, making their first playoff push. That ended in a little bit of injury, and then last year with Mike Brown, I know we're going to get into it a little bit more, but this is not the first time we've talked about the Kings, not the first time we've been confused, sad, or happy. A lot of emotions around this team that I wish I could be saying a lot more solid things about, but where do we start here, Roman?
I mean, they've won back-to-back games, of course, against the Nuggets and Timberwolves. The Nuggets being one of the favorites in the Western Conference. The Timberwolves being a team that have reached the conference finals the last 2 years. Picking up wins that they don't need to do. And why are they able to do that? Because there's just too many damn veterans on this team. They are going to be able to win games of basketball, but unfortunately, they really need to be a team that are losing these games. They're still 5-13, so they're still doing a good job of losing games. But this week has just been a wild one because obviously they go up against OKC, and yeah, they stayed within touching distance for most of the game, and then OKC just overpowered them as they do with pretty much all teams. And then they get blown out by the Grizzlies, which was just awful, and that was really quite a testament to where this Kings team's actually at. And then of course they beat the Nuggets. And then last night they come back, force overtime against the Wolves and come out with the W. So if we're just watching the games, you kind of look at it and think, they got these veteran guys, they've got enough. But this is not a team that needs to be relying on veterans to kind of stay afloat in the West and get that 9 or 10 seed. This is a team that needs to be looking towards the lottery and needs to be finding the next piece to build around after finally giving up on De'Aaron Fox last year.
Yeah, and I feel bad doing this podcast this way because it truly does feel a little bit lazy. I'll admit that. But I think that is the reality of it. We could break down how they beat the Nuggets. We could break down how they beat the Timberwolves. And I think that the conclusion we'd come to would be pretty much the same. They do have shot makers to make this work. They have an electrifying bench creator in Malik Monk. We know that we get a good floor spacer defender from Keegan Murray. So the talent is here. We just know that we've seen enough. We know, I think we've already come to the conclusion what the ceiling is of this team, even before they lost this many games.
Mm-hmm.
So, does it matter? And I think that any Kings fan would look at you and honestly panic with these 2 wins. There's 2 sides to it. One, I think it's pretty disgusting how they played against the Grizzlies. Yeah. Without Jaren Jackson Jr., without John Morant, just playing with no heart. And truly just did not seem to give any effort whatsoever. And we've seen that throughout the season. And that, I feel like, typified what the potential is of this team. Is probably at best case scenario, they're a play-in exit. And that's it. And are you going to risk your lottery odds for that? And I'm glad, that side of the coin with the veteran talent here. I'm glad to see them bounce back, and I'm glad to see them play to what they should be, which is a team that, I feel like they're a perfect trap team.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan teams are perfect trap teams.
Mm-hmm.
Zach LaVine teams are perfect trap teams. but they should not, like, do you want to be a trap team or do you want to be a lottery team? Like, do you want to be in basketball hell or do you want to be a lottery team? I think that's the question. I think every Kings fan would look at you and say, hey, I'm watching Darren Peterson. I'm watching Cam Boozer. I'm watching AJ DeBonsa. I'm watching the lottery because this team is not it. I don't believe in this team anymore. I don't think there's any reason any fan should, truly.
No, and like it's like you think about it, it's so sad that we're like back here already because I mean the Kings were obviously in complete purgatory for so long. They had 16 straight losing seasons. Like that's just like impossible to comprehend. And then we get to the 22-23 season, their first winning year, 48 wins, they're third in the West. They force the defending champions to 7 games in the first round, and if Fox doesn't get hurt, who knows, maybe they win that series. Mike Brown is coach of the year, Monty McNair is exec of the year, they've got the best offense in the league. And that's just 2 seasons ago. And then look where we are now. They go and miss the playoffs the year after that, despite another winning season, 46 wins. They got worse. The rest of the NBA, or rest of the Western Conference got better. Then they really start to struggle. They fire Mike Brown. They trade away De'Aaron Fox. And then we get to here, and then you look at like all the mistakes that they made, all the years of struggle, and all the times that they were in good positions in the draft, and they just didn't pick the right guy. Like 2015, they had the number 6 pick. They pick up Willie Cauley-Stein. They could have got Turner or Booker. 2016, Marquise Chris. They could have got Sabonis, who they ultimately traded for. Pirtle, Siakam. 2017, okay, Fox, good pick. 2018, Marvin Bagley, when could have gone for Doncic or Trae Young. Because they didn't do that because they had De'Aaron Fox. They could have got Bridges, Jaren Jackson Jr. And then, of course, 2020, they forget about the fact that they already have a point guard and they finally draft the best available and they take Halliburton. He's gone. 2021, at number 9, they take Davion Mitchell. He's gone. 2022, number 4, they take Keegan Murray. Good pick, solid player, but let's be real. His ceiling is kind of like an Aaron Wiggins on the Warriors sort of player. I don't think he's ever going to be a number 1 option on a winning team. And then 2013, we got Devin Carter, who right now is, in 2024, he was their pick. He's barely playing. And like, that's like, the Kings have just been so bad with the draft decisions that they've made that that's why I'd say it's probably in the back of some Kings fans' mind where they're like, we've got all these vets. Maybe is it okay if we just be the 10 seed? Because we'll probably mess it up in the lottery anyway. And like, that's the fear that the Kings have. But that can't be the way they're thinking. They have to be thinking of turning over a new leaf. They've given up on De'Aaron Fox. They've got rid of that. Their gold chip player. They have to really be in a position to hopefully get at least a top 4 pick next year and then build around that player and Keegan Murray.
Yes. And I think, well, on that subject of what the Kings are thinking, really, really, really good interview with Scott Perry. He was on Friday or Thursday. But really illuminated what the goal is for this team, what his goal is as a GM, and a lot of great quotes, just even phrases that indicate a full rebuild. Saying Rome wasn't built in a day, buckle up, be patient for the ride, talking about subsequent seasons, and the word autonomy was used 2 or 3 times. The word consistency used 2 or 3 times. They're not looking for a one-hit wonder of a round 1 exit. They're not looking for mediocrity. Like, they're trying to build a consistent winner, and it sounds like he has the autonomy to do so. And we don't have to look back at his track record with the Magic. That's not always fair, but I think preaching this message matters. And I think that brings us to, because I think we obviously know, like, very simple route. Lose some more, keep losing, and see what you get out of these young players. What does the draft look like? But now we get these trade rumors. And I think there's some purpose here. You talk about Kuminga, and Kuminga's a guy that they are rumored to get over the summer. And I think he's important for 2 reasons. One, potential. Sure, like, I think that I want to see what Kuminga looks like on another team. I think that it's a less than 50-50 chance that he ends up being this diamond in the rough, but maybe Josh Giddey is a great example of a player, the reclamation project, that in a different context looks a whole lot different. And I think there's no other team more uniquely suited to hiding someone's talents than a team like the Golden State Warriors, who play that uniquely. So I think that that whole conversation just gives you hope. And I think as someone who's going to watch the Kings for the rest of the year, kudos to you guys. Big respect. As a Bulls fan, as a Bears fan, as a Chicago fan, I feel your pain. I've been there. Probably not as long as you've been there, but you just want to watch someone on this team that you have hope for. And again, like respect to these veterans, they've done their time in the league, but they clearly, these last 2 games, they've shown that they're back to being committed, for better or for worse. I think we're still for worse, but you want to watch a guy and be like, hey, is he something? Like, is there hope there? Because I think at this point, and I'm a Zach LaVine fan, I'm a DeMar DeRozan fan, I'm a fan of these two wings. I believed in that first iteration on the Bulls with them, Vooch, Lonzo, that if you have a primary creator and DeRozan who's going to like have that much gravity and LaVine is an off-ball shooter, like I've seen what that turns into. We as NBA fans have seen what that turns into. And it's not the formula to win a championship. And I think there maybe was a missing sauce to that. If like a supercharged Lonzo Ball, like the calculus of how that team would have won a championship is a little more complicated since we haven't seen it. But this team with Sabonis, I mean, it's really a very close copy and paste, man. Like we know what that looks like, and a guy like Kuminga that injects some interest. John Collins does not inject interest, but he injects a expiring contract. I love to hear stuff like that. Can DeMar DeRozan to the Clippers give you an expiring contract? Yes. I mean, DeMar's truly just like $10 million off the books, but they also need front court depth. So those two things in conjunction would be really interesting to me. Does Golden State want to make a move here, and do they think that Sabonis could help them with their offensive struggles? Don't know. Would be a big move.
The Warriors need a center, and they need rebounding. He obviously doesn't quite have the floor spacing that they would probably want in an ideal world, but like he would be a good fit in Golden State. You just think you'd have him very much in there as a scorer, inside post scorer, and rebounder rather than a playmaker, because Draymond Green likes to do that
Yep.
playmaking and kind of from like the big position in Golden State. But I think the Kings making a move for Kuminga would be a good sign of their ambition and their plans, like taking a shot on a young guy who still has potential. And then imagine like next year you're going into the season with a top 5 pick, Keegan Murray and Kuminga. Like that's something to build on. That's exciting. That's interesting to see where that could maybe go. I think that would be a great transition for this Kings team to make.
If you ask a lot of Warriors fans, if you talk to Steph Curry himself, they would say that David Lee was one of their favorite centers of that whole era. And Sabonis would be like David Lee on steroids, I would say.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I think that would be it would be a pleasant change, as we've already talked about in the summer. It'd be a pleasant change for both teams. It'd be a change for Kuminga to finally get some run, and it's really sucked so that he had a few solid games to start the season, then dealing with injuries to keep him off, just giving them an excuse to keep him off at this point. Um, but yeah, I think one thing about the Kings that I want to touch on is um, the young players. They're not young.
They have them.
I mean, the young guys. Like you think about the young guys. If Kuminga got traded to uh, the Kings, he would be the youngest player, and it's his 4th year. Isn't that crazy? Like
That's
he's
crazy.
younger than Keegan Murray. He's younger than Devin Carter, Nick Clifford, uh, Ray Note. These are not young guys. They don't have like home run hits here. And I think that for that reason alone, like really just if you can get 2 second rounders for DeRozan, if you can get second rounders for anybody, you're just looking to find some young guys. You're looking to find some young talent. And I think the perfect case is you look across the league. You look at who's the best at drafting. You look at the Grizzlies. You look at the Thunder. You look at teams who really value developing these young guys. And there's so many examples of late first round picks, second round guys who become like solid starters, and it has to like be built from the ground up. And the Kings don't really have that behind them. And I think that's kind of the danger that you see with some of these teams that that really just throw away all their second round picks. Like, oh, they're not going to turn into stars. Doesn't matter. Like, oh, they matter. They matter. Like that's like kind of the breath of life of your team. That's your backbone. That's how you get organizations like the Heat. You get players like that. When you even look into the Bulls right now, you see a guy like Julian Phillips. Like, yeah, it's not exciting, but he's a young, energetic guy. He knows how to play that system. He was like thrown into that system as a second round pick, and he can play you 15 to 20 minutes, and they're good 15, 20 minutes because he was brought up into that system. Like, you kind of need those kind of level of guys, those minimum guys that are young and can bring you something, and the Kings just don't have that. And I think that's a big part of what we want to see from them for the next few years is, can you have a good scouting? Can you scout without having Vivek be involved? I mean, that autonomy. That quote was important to me, is that if this front office is given the reins to actually build this thing from the ground up, that's a solid part of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you just look at what they've done, and like I was kind of just looking at like kind of trade keep between like all their major stars, and like realistically, the keep line is Keegan Murray, Russell Westbrook purely because he's expiring. There's just no pressure to try and trade him. Dennis Schroeder's on a nice deal. It's always nice to have a veteran point guard around when you're hopefully getting younger players in over the next couple of years. And then you look at Levine and you're thinking he's maybe a keep just because there might be a world where he rejects his player option. I know it's like a huge number, which will probably make him want to take it, but he also probably could be pretty depressed playing in Sacramento and also know that he'd want to get out of there.
Ronan's not depressed, man. He's making over 40 a year. He's not depressed.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. This is from a guy who's not making that amount of money. So yeah, like that's it. I'm talking pure. I want this guy playing on pure love of the game. Screw the money, But yeah. So I mean, there's that like that makes him kind of teeter between the trade and keep sort of line. But then obviously Sabonis, DeRozan, Monk. I think they should look to be trading all those guys. Like Monk will probably be could be the most valuable asset that they have. And you mentioned the Grizzlies. I think they could be a team that could maybe have an interest in DeMar DeRozan, depending on what way they're looking to go this year. They could definitely use his sort of scoring. Like I would love to see DeRozan in a situation where he's like a six guy off the bench, just like that ultimate like scoring option off the bench for a team. I think that's the role that he should be playing right now. I know he's probably making a bit more money than a player that should be playing that role, but as his age, still a great scorer of the basketball. I would love to see him on a winning team as that sixth man and occasional starter.
I mean, I think the dream trade package for a team who's trying to pick up these guys, there's going to be so many questions with all of them. A lot of questions. About winning teams and injecting a guy who is not a perfect fit. Like, you got to have a kind of a niche for a guy who's a mid-range shot creator, who is not a defender, who's not going to take a lot of threes. You're going to have a lot of questions for a guy like Sabonis. Again, the defense, threes, is the pace of play there. But when you add on, it really depends who you ask, but I truly can't understand. I mean, the Keon Ellis minutes. I really
it's crazy.
I mean, he is a good NBA player, and he fits everything that any team wants. He plays fast, great on-ball defender. He can shoot. He can get downhill. Like, I think he's just like clearly a good rotation NBA player, a two-way player, and as a good defender who can also shoot the ball. I mean, that's just so clearly like a value player. So I don't quite understand it. I'm not an NBA coach. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know how. Maybe he's just not meshed with these players somehow. Who knows? But I think a lot of NBA teams would look at that and be like, "Hey, I'll take that too." And I mean that's an easy add-on. Like, you can add Keon if you really need to extract more value from these levels of trades, and you're not playing him.
Mm-hmm.
You're not playing him, and clearly you don't want to play him. So trade him. Yeah. Give him a chance somewhere else. And if that gives you the opportunity to. If you're getting second round pick, if you're getting off of DeRozan and otherwise wouldn't be able to, then maybe not. But maybe if this is added to like a Sabonis trade to make that a little bit more palatable, more valuable, I think so. Just anyone care about Devin Carter? Did they want to take a chance on that? Maybe not. I think Devin Carter is probably just a play him until he gains value type of player. But that's also a confusing one. A guy who should have clearly been a value rotation two-way guard. Same thing with Davion Mitchell, who's become that in Miami. play these guys. I mean, that's the end of stories. Play these guys, the veterans. We know what they're good at. We know how far they'll go. But they've got to become a young, interesting team. They've got to become the Washington Wizards. They can't be the Kings anymore. They got to become the Wizards. I think that's got to be the blueprint here.
No, I mean it's true. This is a really really huge 2-3 months coming up for the Sacramento Kings. They've got to try and get whatever value they can for some of their vets and just put themselves in the best position to not only get a lottery pick this year, but maybe also find another couple of young pieces to continue to build around for over the next year. But this next 3-month period coming up to the trade deadline, the Kings really have to make some shrewd moves here and really have to put themselves in the best position to begin this rebuild for real.
I taught to veer us totally off course here, but I think really I didn't plan to talk about the Wizards real quick, but you think about where you'd want to be as a Kings fan, and you Google Tankathon. You look at your stats, now I'm 7th, tied with Dallas. I'm not going to get past Brooklyn, Charlotte, or Atlanta. I mean, the New Orleans Pelicans, or Indiana. Look at Washington. They're 1-15. I mean, I think if you've peripherally followed this team and the players of this team and the highlight players of this team, you'd be like, they're 1-15. I think this is the best tank stretch I've seen in a while, because we don't look at the Wizards and be like, oh, that's just there's nothing there. I'm still excited about Alex Sarr. I'm excited from what I've seen. I'm more excited about Keyshawn George. I'm still intrigued by Koulibaly. I'm still intrigued by their team, but they're 1-15, and I think that that's the best case scenario for a team like that, where I think you haven't lost hope yet. It's not because their players are obviously terrible. I think they're all just too young to tank. Mm-hmm. And then if they get, I mean, dude, I don't think we're going to get too deep into these players, but if you have not at least just peeked at some highlights, looked at some scouting reports, the top 3 of this draft are really Cooper Flaggish.
Yeah.
Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, AJ DeMont, we'll probably see more of it in the spring as people start paying attention a little bit more coming up to March Madness. But dude, I think this is there's going to be some unethical tanking done at the end of the season, and Kings got their work cut out for them if they want to be in that mix.
That's true, but at the same time, you kind of want to be in that 5 to 10 range in the lottery, don't you? That over the last few years, that kind of feels like the sweet spot to really get a top pick.
Somebody does it, yeah.
The worst teams, I feel like, haven't really got the number 1 pick. It feels like it's been a while since the bottom 2 or 3 teams have come out with the number 1 overall pick. But yeah, this draft looks absolutely stacked. There's already talk. I know this probably happens every year that even though the last draft class was pretty stacked, that this one could be even more stacked. So I mean, the Kings have got to be watching that, and they've got to be looking at the plight of the Eastern Conference and other teams around there, and thinking, we really need to step it up here. We have got to do some dramatic things in the trade market. We have got to find a way to lose games. That's what they have to be thinking.
Yeah. Just, man, on that point, when you're peaking there, we talked about in the summer about the Pacers having just the perfect opportunity for a tank year. I really hope Halliburton comes back looking good, looking himself. This team really needs that. And I hope they re-up on getting that stretch 5 that really they lost in Miles Turner. Mm-hmm. Man, if they get into the top 3, that would just be incredible for them to reload moving forward, man.
Is Noah Clowney a guy that they should be targeting? Have you been watching? I'm sure you haven't been watching, but have you seen his stats this year? The dude's been shooting some threes. He's been shooting threes, and not too badly at all. I know he did a lot against the Knicks, but the Knicks are terrible at defending the 3, which that does help a lot. But
you asked me if I was watching Noah Clowney.
Yeah, sorry. Watching was a stretch. Maybe you just heard the news of it. But he's shooting the 3 ball, and he's shooting it pretty okay. So maybe you mentioned a 3-and-D guy that they could maybe look to get back on their team, and that could be a guy that's potentially an option there.
I have seen my fair share of Noah Clowney, and I do know he likes a three, but I have not paid enough attention, and I don't think they'll be making any moves anytime soon for him. They
Oh no,
lost
that's
out on
fair.
Jalen Smith, man. That I think was an L. That was an L.
Mm,
Jalen Smith looks good for the Bulls. He's so perfect for what they do. I don't know how that did not work out. Really, like for the Bulls, he's such a good trailer. He's been really good on the boards, and like not the best switchable, but he can switch. He's no Miles Turner with it, but dude, like I don't know, could have been a lot of replacement value if they had kept him. But staying in the Eastern Conference, do you want to get to the Pistons real quick?
yeah, let's talk about the Pistons. We'll finish off talking about my Knicks, where I have just a few questions. But yeah, the Pistons, 15-2, 13 straight wins. Don't get me wrong. They've had it's obviously it's always impressive to go win 13 in a row. Like, not even the Thunder have done that this year, and they've only lost one game. But like, you look at the run that they were on during this. Like, they played the Magic when the Magic were really struggling. The Mavs, the Grizzlies, the Jazz, the Nets, the 76ers, the Pacers twice, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Hawks, the Bucks without Giannis. So it's been a pretty
Yeah.
favorable run. But at the same time, they've taken full advantage of it. Cade Cunningham's missed some games, they've still won. Jalen Duren is looking great. And they've really locked in defensively. They are the second best defense in the NBA. And they have the fourth best net rating in the NBA. And they also aren't really shooting the three ball, and they're dominating inside, and it's really working for them.
Yeah, I think it's fair about the strength of schedule. Like, it's pretty clear that, Oklahoma City, pretty easy, great record. We're not saying anything about it. Pistons, getting the job done. I think it's fair. Like, if you're a good team, you have to beat these teams, and they are. And to be fair to the Pistons, too, they've had some games without Cade.
Mm-hmm.
Had games without Cade or Duren. Still won those games. And you see guys come up, like your Jenkins, who, like, brand new face of the league. He's come in. He's been a great piece for them. And they haven't even had to rely on Jaden Ivey too much yet. Um, and I
Haven't
think
been
that,
able to, he's not been available.
yeah, like and I think that we'll get into one play that I think really excites me. But as a whole, man, I think what were our expectations going into the season for the Pistons? I think, yes, you're going to be a top six seed. Yes, you're going to get better. There's going to be a lot more like chemistry built over this year. See some more from what you can do to develop your Ron Hollands, develop your Jaden Ivies. I didn't I didn't think we'd already be getting into like two All-Star mode and top three in the East pretty clearly. And maybe that'll change when they hit a harder stretch of their schedule, but I've really liked what I've seen from them so far. I've loved the just everything on a whole.
No, absolutely. I like you said, it was exactly that. It was kind of maybe just inching yourselves a little bit closer to that 50 win mark, maybe getting up to the 4 seed after being the 6 seed last year. Something like that was probably a realistic expectation from this team. You're probably like thinking Kane's going to be all NBA maybe, but the guys around him doing what they're doing, like Jalen Duren has looked absolutely fantastic. I don't know if any of us really saw this coming. Like he has just looked unstoppable, legitimately one of the best centers in the league so far this season. And I mean, Cade as a duo, it's scary. It's right up there when you're thinking about these great teams. And like I love the way they're doing it as well. They're 8th in field goal percentage, despite being and they're 28th in 3-point attempts, 1st in 2-pointers made, 2nd in 2-pointers attempted. We got it's just really impressive the way that they're going about this. Ultimately, I do worry a little bit about their shooting on the whole. Like Cade, only 29%, Harris 33%, Asar 31%, Ron Holland 27.5%. Those three of those guys are shooting the highest volume of threes outside of Duncan Robinson, who, shout out, has been great. He's making his threes. Yeah. He's doing exactly what they needed from him. But those guys really struggling with their shot. That's where I think they maybe get found out on tougher stretches, and then as we get towards the playoffs, if there's just no one's able to make that deep ball, I could see them struggling against certain opponents, but their dominance inside, the way that they've just negated that so far this year has been really, really impressive.
Yeah, I think that the shooting hasn't come up as a problem yet, but I think you pointed out correctly that we haven't seen it become a symptom. Get what teams are going to take advantage of that, and I think they'll encounter that soon. And that's what we're going to see at the halfway point of the season is all these teams that the advantages that they've created. How are teams going to counter this? And you can speak to it for a few teams right now, like the Bulls, for example.
Mm.
They definitely get exposed these days. I don't
Losing
know
to the
how they
Pelicans last
magically.
night. What?
Yeah. But defensive rebounding for that team, like, can't really run. Getting beat up on the boards. That's obvious counter for this team.
Mm.
And obvious counter for this Pistons team is you're going to see them packing the paint. You're going to see them be like, Zara, we definitely don't care about you. Cade, go ahead, shoot that. And we'll see what Ivy does. Ivy shot looked good
He
before
returned
he got hurt
last night
last
and
season.
he looked tell a solid game against the Pacers.
Yes. He, I mean, he's going to be a really, really, really like energizing piece to this team if he does one specific thing. If he is a good catch and shoot player,
Mm.
if you can use him as a secondary playmaker off the wing, you got an action run on the other side and it swings his way and he's an actual threat you need to close out on. I mean, good luck doing a good closeout against Jaden Ivey. I mean, that the way he would be able to attack closeouts, I mean, it's that's not the player you want to be getting into the paint. I mean, he's going to be a huge piece of this if he's a secondary creator and he's able to have some shooting gravity. I mean, that's not the only thing. I mean, that's just like a very simple thing that I think will help. There's a play that was really awesome the other night where Cade is taking the ball up and they're trying to get half court pressure. Dern's coming up to set a screen, and you have Ivy on the wing. Passes the ball to Ivy. You get that screen from Dern. Dern's already flashing towards the middle of the floor. And that the gravity of those three players, I think you're already seeing that concept of how can we get these three guys in action to use all of them. And Ivy's guys stay in front of him because they know that Ivy can be an attack uh, getting off the dribble.
Mm-hmm.
And Duran, it's like, okay, well, we got to cover Duran going through the middle of the paint. And all that confusion leads Cade going back door. Duran gets the ball, and we've seen Duran be such a good passer. And Duran flushes a perfect bounce pass to a cutting Cade, and it's a wide open layup. That like in action, like seeing those three play with in like an unscripted play off of that to use all their strengths in just a very simple way. Like this could be a very simple game for these three guys. I think that play alone. If you're not following Nerd Hoops on YouTube, please do. That's perfect follow. Like a lot of great breakdowns like that. But just watching the minutes that I have, just limited minutes, there's a lot of opportunity for these guys to play off of each other. And I think that's just so exciting for uh, the Pistons. They're good right now. They're gonna get better, I think.
Yeah, and I gotta hope that obviously Cade, if you hope that that shot will come around a little bit. Tobias Harris will stop being so Tobias Harrisy. He's been very Tobias Harrisy to start this year. The hope that he can get a bit closer to what he was doing last year, and that'll be big for his team. Jalen Duran, I don't see why he can't continue the form that he's shown. Ivy's gonna get more reacquainted with the team, playing bigger minutes. Maybe return to that starting lineup. Like there's definitely a world where the the Pistons, I won't say keep up this form because they're obviously on an incredible run at the moment. They're not going to keep winning every single game, but in terms of keeping up the fight to be the number one seed, absolutely. And like crazy enough in the East right now, the number one and number two seed are the Pistons and the Raptors.
Yeah,
Who'd have saw that one coming, huh?
I mean, dude, I gotta say, like, I'm not shocked with the Pistons. I'm a little more shocked with the Raptors. Who they'll deserve some time eventually. Um, just staying on the Pistons for a couple other quick points.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Isaiah Stewart,
Mm-hmm.
who is really doing his thing, shooting the ball, and being just an absolute dog in the paint. I mean, he's part of the reason why the defense is so good. Um, this is a crazy stat. I think this is one of the crazier stats I've seen recently. Opponents are shooting 45% at the rim against Isaiah Stewart.
Wow.
That is Isaiah Gobert. That's what I'm gonna be calling him from now on. Isaiah Gobert. Um, but he's French beef stew right now, dude. Like that's barely behind Rudy Gobert is 43.5%. Do you know who's the highest? This is actually crazy. This is crazy.
I don't know.
I know who you want to say. I know who you want to say. Who you would obviously say has the best defensive field goal percentage at the rim. There's a very obvious answer.
Is that the right answer?
No.
It's not the right answer. Okay. I mean, is it like, well, okay, it's not Wembanyama.
Well, exactly. You would think it's Wembanyama. No, it's his running mate. It's Luke Cornett.
Well, man, I know all about that after that fucking Knicks series against the Celtics last year, yeah.
But anyway, with Duren real quick, the one piece of it that, I think a lot of players early season, you can have really hot shooting stretches. You can have a lot of like opportunity if you're not on the scouting report. Duren's definitely on the scouting report. I think we know what we're getting from him inside the paint. Like, he's shown a lot of poise, a lot of strength, playing patiently in the post when he gets that opportunity. The ball handling is kind of shocking for me. Maybe this is my ignorance, but I did not know he had that in his back. For him to be attacking off the dribble the way he is, I mean, I think it's a level of Bam Adebayo that I don't think that I was expecting. Like, dare I say, like, Julius Randle-esque? Like, truly, like, I think that he's approaching that level, and not that I think he'll be like a primary, like, go-to option, like, face-up game, but he could, and I think that's really, really interesting to me. That is not the kind of player that I thought he was going to turn into. Really.
No, that's fair. You hope he doesn't get the Julius Randle syndrome of just dribbling the ball forever and ever and ever. Like, hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, outside of that, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, no.
Big with that amount of strength, that like you have to respect his drive, but you also have to respect his post game. So it's really hard as a defender to really play against that level of strength and that level of ball handling. And then if that mid-range shot comes around, that just becomes a really tough cover. That becomes a double team in a lot of situations. And when you got a couple guys on your roster who can command respect of a double team, that becomes a really difficult offense to cover in general.
Yeah, and once again, we're seeing the quality of coach that Mr. Bickerstaff is as well in Detroit. Like, this is a guy that we were so excited when he got another opportunity. I think he was a bit hard done by the Cleveland Cavaliers, but okay, it's kind of worked out for the Cavs so far.
Yeah,
kind of.
Worked out for everybody.
But like, it's definitely working out for the Pistons, and just again, shout out to him, real talented coach. But yeah, 13 straight wins. I actually haven't looked up. I have to look up right now and let's see what their schedule is. Let's see how far this win streak could go. I didn't actually look this up before.
If they win against the Celtics, as you're looking it up, if they win against the Celtics tomorrow,
yeah,
they will have the longest win streak in Pistons history.
They go Celtics, Magic, Heat, Hawks, Bucks, Trailblazers, Bucks again, Mavericks, Hornets, Trailblazers, Kings, Jazz, Clippers, Lakers, Heat again. I mean, that brings them right up to January. Like, they could legitimately. I'm not saying they're going to win all those games, but they could still be in a very, very strong position when we get to the new year.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's in the Eastern Conference. And honestly, do we say both these conferences that we had a really good start to the season, and I feel like injuries and like clearly like differences in talent right now are pretty glaring at this current moment. I hope it gets better, but there's been some tough nights of basketball to watch.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But damn, yeah, shout out to the Pistons. It's great, on a great run. And let's talk about the team that beat them in the playoffs last year. Let's talk about the New York Knicks. One thing I will shout out just straight off the bat, I will say, the fact that the Pistons are shooting so badly, I would still fancy the Knicks in a series against them, because one thing the Knicks are doing is not defending the three at all, but absolutely packing the paint. That's one thing the Knicks have been doing so far this year, and it would still bode well for them in a series against the Pistons. But on the whole, the Knicks just have more growing pains than I thought they were going to have. I was just imagining a more seamless transition when Mike Brown took over. Yeah, there's been a few injury blips here and there, but obviously I'm not even considering the game last night. I'm not really taking into account anything that the Knicks do against the lowly Brooklyn Nets. But the Knicks, outside of that, they're 10-6 on the season, but outside of last night, they're 9-6, 8-1 at home, 1-5 on the road. That one road victory they had was probably one of the ugliest victories you were ever likely to see against the Dallas Mavericks. Absolutely got away with that one. Tried so hard to lose it. And again, the offense has been there. They're 6th in points per game, 4th in offensive rating, 3rd in offensive rebounds. Defense, not so much. They're really struggling defending the three. They're 27th in opponent three-point percentage, 20th in opponent field goal percentage. They're clogging the paint, but it's not really working for them right now. You could make the argument that teams are just kind of getting hot against them, and then if it'll maybe even out as the season goes on. But there's just, when you watch games, you see breakdowns in communication. I feel like that happens a lot on the defensive end for the Knicks. There's often times where guys are just getting completely lost, and sometimes it's guys you expect, like your Cats or your Jalen Brunsons that are doing these things, but then you also see it from OG and from McHale and from Miles McBride, guys who really, their name is built off of their defense. So I think it will get better, and I feel really confident this team will really get going as we get closer to the All-Star break and coming out of that. But definitely just awkward start under Mike Brown for sure.
Yeah, awkward is the one. I mean, if you're only watching home games,
yeah, it's amazing.
maybe,
Yeah.
Not too worried. But yeah, I mean, the defense is really interesting to me. The numbers are pretty stark. At home, they have a really staunch defensive rating, 113.5. Away, 119.6 points per 100 possessions. That's a big jump. You go from a top 10 defense to a bottom 5 defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then we look at their offense, pretty similar. I mean, they have a 125.8 offensive rating, which is insane at home. And then away, they drop down to very, very lower than middle of the pack, 115.7. What's been the biggest concern that you've seen in terms of offense, and why things start to slow down for them on the road?
I think a big part of it is the shooting. The shooting's been really bad on the road. They're really struggling to find their shots at times and just missing open looks. Like, they're getting good looks. I know people are talking like they're shooting too many threes. I don't think that's the case. I think they just need to make more. They're getting good looks. Like, they're 13th percentage right now. You think that edges up? They're at, I think, just over 36%. They're shooting from deep. That edges up closer to like 38%, 39%. Then they're absolutely flying. Then they're unstoppable. But like guys like Cat has been shooting the ball terribly. 43-32 splits for Cat this year. Like, that is awful. That is not Karl Anthony Towns at all. Jalen Brunson has had his struggles, especially from deep in a lot of games. McHale's been great. We're obviously missing OG at the moment. Miles McBride kind of been a bit up and down. Clarkson up and down, as you would expect. Yabusele, unfortunately, is really looking like a player that was played out of the NBA so far this year. We kind of need him to get his confidence up, start hitting from that corner. I think he made a couple last night, which is great to see, and hopefully that can continue. But yeah, it's really just the shot, and then it just starts to get a bit stagnant when the shot's not falling, because they're like so drilled to like move the ball and find that open shot. So when that shot's not going down, things start to look a little bit ugly, especially when their defense is not making the plays that you want it to make.
Yeah, no, I think that overall it hasn't looked good, but I think you made a good point that the offense doesn't. I wouldn't say the offense looks worse. It's not going
yeah.
And it's a make or miss league. Lazy analysis, but I think the Knicks are fine. I'm not going to be worried about it until maybe All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, last year we had the same worries. Like, there's just like inconsistent offense. You didn't know, if they were going to ever win at home at stretches.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find yourself in a deep playoff run. And what do you need to see to actually change? Like, how have you felt about like how Mike Brown's offense has looked compared to Thibodeau, or in terms of like how his minutes distribution has been? Has that felt better?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm liking the minutes that we're seeing. Like, I'm loving seeing more minutes for Landry Shamet. He's even starting some games. Like, yeah, he's not going to be perfect. Yeah, he's going to make mistakes, but I'm really enjoying the minutes I'm seeing from him. He's hit some crucial shots, especially in that Mavs game. He was really clutch for us. Deuce McBride, I'm liking seeing him playing so much more minutes with our starters, which we didn't see at all last year. I'm definitely enjoying the minutes. That's really big. I know we have better players this year, but the coach is committing to that, and that's what we need. We can't be relying on Jalen Brunson to play 37, 38 minutes a game and just really be our entire offense. We need to spread it out a bit more, and we're getting the production. Like, our bench has had some huge games. And the more we see of that, that's when you know the Knicks are really humming. We're continuing to see that bench production. That's when you'll really start to see that things are clicking for the Knicks, and they'll start and go on. I'm not saying they're going on any huge win streaks, but they'll consistently be winning 3, 4, 5 games in a row in between the odd loss here and there. I think the Knicks are going to start winning more games. The defense is going to be figured out. Hopefully, they'll start shooting better from deep, and their opponents will start shooting worse from deep. That's kind of like... That's an easy swing that could be made. Like, the Knicks last year really turned it up defensively, defending the three, and finished the season with a really strong opponent 3-point percentage. So I'm hoping that the season will take a similar sort of turn to that. But the offense, I think, is there. Just hit a couple more shots a game, and that could make all the difference. Like, we're not really getting blown out by any team. So I think just... you see that percentage go up, they're continuing to get good looks, and we'll see a few more shots go down, and that will lead to a few more wins as well.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people should be level-headed, and we shouldn't be jumped to this point of it. But do you feel the vibes of, like, people spinning the trade machine again, like kicking the tires on some of the star trades that have been mentioned over the summer? Is that a direction that things will start to go?
I mean, yeah, I think when you're the Knicks, I feel like that's always going to be the case, and of course, Cat as well, being like such a guy who can be so frustrating. It's easy to kind of think of a world like where you move him on and maybe find a way to get a guy like a Giannis in or something like that. But I love this Knicks team. I think they are set in terms of their star power. I don't think there's a move that they can make realistically that puts them in a better position to win a championship. I think they're set there. They can maybe make some moves around the margins potentially, but I don't really see it. I think the Knicks have a really good roster, and I think anyone who's kind of wishing for them to make a big trade or anything like that is a bit blinded and doesn't really understand what's happening. I think this is a very, very, very good roster, and as the season goes on, we're only going to see this team get better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got faith. The Knicks are going to be fine. The Bulls not so much.
Yeah, I mean that last night wasn't great. They're giving up 143 points to the Pelicans. Yikes.
Yeah, no Derek Queen starting either, so didn't even get to have that piece of it.
You got to see that flash from Zion, though. You know, maybe if you're going to make that trade, Zion, maybe that was a little audition for a Chicago trade.
I would have taken him approximately 6 years ago. Not right now.
I think that's fair. And quick few shout outs just around the league. Miami Heat. We questioned their ability to score the basketball last week. They've been scoring. They've put up some pretty big numbers since then.
Yeah, helps when you play the Chicago Bulls. Anyone who needs a little scoring boost, play the Chicago Bulls. I think they've been found out.
Yeah, that's a little bit of concern. The OKC Thunder are obviously still winning games. Nikola Jokic still being a sicko. The Houston Rockets picking up some wins. Nice win against the Suns last night. They're another team where I think maybe could they have any interest in a guy like DeMar DeRozan. I know they're going in a different direction, but if they need to add a little bit of scoring, could be an option. But yeah, I mean, Pacers still they're just tanking like hell. Like it's just sad, and it's tough to see Siakam really balling out there because like he could easily be putting up all-star, all-NBA numbers, but he's probably not going to get there because of the record that the Indiana Pacers are going to have. But I mean, I think it's time. I think it's time to pick our team of the week. You think it's time for that? Are you ready for it?
Yes. I do want to give a shout out though. I want to give my shout outs my weekly, my young buck of the week.
Hit me, brother. Hit me.
So this is not a guy I thought I was going to be talking about, and I think eventually we got to do a deep dive on him. He's on my watch list. Guy I thought it was just going to be like good old like shooter, just going to be kind of fit into the system, be a system guy. Nipple has been on a tear.
Yeah.
The rookie ladder has been really interesting this season, man. I think that it's been It's been up and down. It's been just like, oh, it's just gonna be Cooper Flag and then the rest. Cooper
Hmm.
Flag and the rest. Kind of like last year, Wemby and the rest. Um, but dude, 28 points against the Hawks, 26 points against the Clippers, 28 points against the Pacers, 24 points against the Raptors. He had 7 assists against the Pacers. He's attacking the boards. We knew that he was a guy who did everything, but I think seeing it on NBA court is very different. Because I
Hmm.
think we questioned the quickness of his first step, questioned his ability to handle defensive pressure at the NBA level with his his basic handle. Like not to like crap on his bag, but like he's not like a herky jerky ball handler,
Hmm.
very line driving. But like he's been able to get paint touches. He's been able to use that to move the ball. He's used his shooting gravity to attack closeouts. Like he's been a movement shooter as we've known him to be, and then attacking the boards to like kind of the full package, and then not being exposed too bad on the defensive end. Like, I mean, I don't know what more you want to say about a guy who is like already playing at this NBA level. Like, it's pretty impressive.
No, and like his performances, like I know they're not the same player or anything like that, but like his performances are making people start to like big up the rumors that the Hornets might move on from LaMelo Ball. I know that's not a direct comparison, but like it's the performances that he's putting in that's making people think, oh, like maybe we don't need LaMelo Ball. And if only Brandon Miller was healthy and playing as well, I think the noise around LaMelo Ball's future would definitely be a lot louder right now. But not Knipple's been really impressive. He's why you would watch the Charlotte Hornets. He's a reason to go and watch the odd Charlotte Hornets game because he really does look like a player, and it's going to be interesting to see what his ceiling ultimately is. But like right now, like he's very much in the conversation for Rookie of the Year for sure.
And my shout out for Player of the Week in general. This is all based on if I'm not saying your favorite player or if I'm not saying a player you wanted. This is just by my choice. There's no metric for this whatsoever. I like it. He's doing well, so don't come for me, internet. But Keontae George,
Oh yeah, okay.
Keontae George. I've been so interested in him because of the volume over the last season. He got every opportunity to shoot the ball, and he sure did shoot the ball, but it did not very often go in the hoop. We like the shots, we like the athleticism, we like the playmaking ability, but it didn't really come together more often than once a week. And maybe he's a beneficiary of playing the Los Angeles Lakers.
It's true.
But this last week, he's gone kind of crazy. In 3 games, averaging 27 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds. He dropped 34 points on the Lakers' head on the 18th, and then did it again, 27 points on him again. And in 30 minutes, dropped 20 on the Thunder. You're seeing the package kind of come together. You're seeing the vision, at least when the ball goes in the hoop, because I like his shot. I like his ability to get to it. And, dude, like, he could be a really good piece of their future, I think.
I'm glad they lost both those games against the Lakers though, because that just like helps me when I was ragging on the Jazz earlier in the year, or whatever that. But yeah, yeah, it was just disappointing
Yeah.
that he couldn't really kick on in that first Lakers game, especially like he dropped. I think he had like 27 in the first half of that game
Yeah.
against the
And then
Lakers that first
finished.
one, and they just could not get it going again in the second half. Maybe that was a conscious choice. They know that they want to lose some games. Who really knows
Yeah.
what that's going on there? But yeah, no, he looked great. When he's on it, and you see him and Lowry like really going off like that. They're a really fun duo to watch, and the growth we're seeing in his shot and his consistent scoring like that has been huge, and he's definitely a player to watch, and he's a guy that you can believe in. Like you can like make an idea in your head. I know Lowry's obviously a little bit older, but like they've got their two cornerstone pieces, and you'd probably have Walker Kessler in there as well if he weren't out for the year too. So you kind of don't know what's going to go on there. But with Lowry and George, like they've got legitimately got two cornerstone pieces to continue to build around in Utah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that once they figure out who's building around them, I don't think he'll need to be taking like 10 threes in a game and driving out his 3 point percentage. You want to look at the whole course of the season, like he's had some stinkers in terms of like shooting, but
Yeah.
who's taking shot? I mean, he has a big burden on him right now, but still excited for this young Utah team for sure.
No, of course you are. I know you are, bro. I know you are. But yeah, well, let's get to the fun part of the week. Let's pick our team of the week, and let's please hope to God we don't get the Sacramento Kings again, because that would be That would be
Wait, it can't.
cruel.
That can't happen.
I don't know.
Is that part of the rules?
Stranger
Oh,
things have happened, my guy.
That we can't have 2 in a row.
Okay.
I refuse it. We're gonna have to go again.
Yeah. Okay. We obviously will go again if we get the Kings again, but it's not gonna happen. We're gonna get someone good here. All right.
Don't ruin my week again.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Let's go. Here it is. Boom. The Charlotte Hornets. There we go.
All right. This is perfect timing.
Let's see Conky Nipple. Let's see Conky Nipple. Let's go.
Ryan Kalkbrenner.
And I know they play the Knicks tomorrow night, so that's easy. I'll be able to watch that game, and I'll be
Brandon
locked in on it
Miller
regardless.
Should be healthy right now.
Yeah,
I believe. I think
that's the word on the street, is it?
He is cleared now. Yes, he is cleared now. And I hear on the street that LaMelo doesn't want to be traded, so that's cool too. Get to see that. Cool. All right.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, one of these days maybe we'll get a good team. Well, let's see. We've gone from a very interesting team, the Blazers, to just a terrible team in the Kings, to at least a team that has 1 or 2 interesting players in the Hornets. So yeah, maybe I'm interested to see where we land next. But yeah, Charlotte Hornets, our team of the week. So all you Hornets fans out there, stay tuned. Next week we'll be doing a deep dive on your boys. Let's see how they get on. But damn, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy the time with family. Treasure this. It doesn't get old every year. It's always good to have these moments. But Chris, thanks for joining me as always. Remember, we're everywhere on social media at Coast to Coast NBA. And most importantly, remember to take every shot and love every moment.
Gobble gobble.